Hello, I'm State Representative Christina Hagan from the 50th District. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Mike Ditto. We have with us today State Representative Christina Hagan, who serves the 50th House District, which includes portions of Stark County. Representative Hagan, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So, you were recently appointed to the 50th House District upon the resignation of Representative Todd Snitchler to go to the Public Utilities Commission. Tell us what your experience has been like so far.
My experience has been phenomenal. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I will not say it's been anything short of hectic. Very enjoyable. It's been an interesting experience, a very fast-paced education, a good opportunity for anyone who has the opportunity to serve.
So what inspired you to run for state representative at such a young age?
I actually, I find it interesting. A local reporter actually did a little studying, and there have been 24 members of the Ohio House under 27. I'm the first female. So being the youngest of four and the only female in my siblings, I've always been encouraged to be a little bit competitive, and I think that we need a woman's voice in the House, and someone speaking specifically from her generation is always a positive outlook. I've also had the inspiration of my father in the household. He served for 8 years before Representative Snitchler had stepped into office, and this was an early ambition for me. I actually ran against Snitchler in a primary at one point, and it's been a hope for me, and an ability to serve has been something that I feel that I've been given, so I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your education background and sort of what brought you here to the State House.
I was actually brought up through public education at Marlington High School, and I went back to coach there as a tennis coach, and I still am coaching, something I enjoy. I went to Malone University. I thought it was important to invest in a Christian education. I spent some time there, and while I was there, I also studied at Akron through their Bliss Institute of Applied Politics, which is a very good program as well. And I even went a little bit outside of the box and sought out an opportunity here in Columbus to do the Joanne Davidson Leadership Institute. Joanne, being the first woman Speaker of the House, has been a significant role model for me and has certainly inspired me on many levels to become more well-rounded and seek out opportunities to serve the public.
Each one of the 99 House districts has a number of different issues that are facing their district, and a lot of members have said that it's been jobs and the economy. What are the issues that are facing the 50th House district?
I would certainly have to concur, not to be redundant, but jobs are absolutely the #1 priority in the House. That's something that our colleagues across the board can agree on, regardless of the background. Jobs are the #1 priority in Ohio, and that's where our focus will remain, and we're going to turn the economy around.
Part of your role as a state representative is to serve on a number of committees, and members are always appointed to committees by the Speaker of the House. Maybe you could tell your constituents what committees you serve on and what types of legislation you're talking about in each of those committees.
Sure, absolutely. I'm currently serving on Economic and Small Business Development, which I actually came directly from this morning. I'm also serving on the Veterans Affairs Committee, which has been extremely humbling and a blessing. I've had some opportunities to reach out to veterans that I might not have had in any other circumstance, and actually worked with some of the veterans at the state level, and then locally this morning in a meeting discussing potential for veterans homes in Ohio. I'm also serving on the Public Utilities Committee, which is pertinent to the district. I think that we need to be key decision makers in our area, paying close attention to the things that are available to us. I'm also interested in potentially serving on the Agriculture Committee eventually. I think that that's the #1 industry in Ohio. I think we need to recognize that and do everything that we can to represent our districts, especially from a very rural area. That's something that's pertinent to our district.
Legislators often have many different roles. They vote, they introduce pieces of legislation, and certainly they serve their constituents back home. Is there one or two items that you think are the most important roles as a state representative?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important roles that we have as legislators is not only to do our job and do our job well, but to do it in a way in which we're serving the Lord. And so we recognize that not only are we making key decisions for the state of Ohio, but in my position in particular as a young woman in the State House, I recognize that I am a role model for my generation, and I need to be accessible and open to the public in any way that I can, letting them know that our generation is serious about being involved and taking stake in what's happening today, because it's going to be affecting us the longest. So being very involved in everything. I recognize that I don't have every area of expertise nailed down, so it's important for me to be involved throughout the community in any way that I can, and obviously working with the constituents one-on-one and letting that be my sole source of inspiration for any legislation that I introduce. I don't have any preconceived notion of something that's more particularly my agenda, and many people ask about that, but I'm very dedicated to being involved with the constituents and having a constituent-driven legislation proposal. So just being accessible and recognizing that I've been blessed to be in a position where I should be a good role model.
You mentioned earlier that you are the youngest member of the General Assembly currently. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being here serving the people of your district at a young age?
I think that there are many. That's a good question. There are many advantages and there are many disadvantages. I would say that it's a double-edged sword. I think being the youngest, people often assume less of you, and so it's easy to recognize where the bar is and be able to excel past that. But in the same aspect, people are constantly waiting for you to make a mistake. They're judging your every movement, and I think that when people recognize that I'm serious and I'm here to do the job that this job is designed to be, then the respect and the appreciation will come. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about serving the people. So advantages, I would say I bring a fresh perspective, and people are willing to listen because they've heard a lot of the same. And we say jobs, 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 but we need to get into defining how we're bringing those jobs and focus on communication and how we bring that to the public. So it's good and bad. I would like to think more good than bad.
That's good. Well, before we started the show, one of the pieces of legislation that you discussed that you're working on with another member from Northeast Ohio is a long-term budget plan. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Sure. With accruing my business degree at Malone University, I sat down with Representative Rogner, and we've had discussion about how we have the short-term budget plan, which is a great plan. We have it every 2 years, but we think that there needs to be more accountability for the state and a nonpartisan effort to set long-term goals and objectives and really work on implementing those goals and tying them in every year for accountability. We're trying to develop a plan that would be a strategic long-term financial outlook on the state so that we can continue to move in the right direction. It's still in the beginning stages, but we're modeling after other states and vicariously learning through them so that we can take the best of what they've done and accomplished and bring it to Ohio.
Every member of the General Assembly has a different day when they're up here. Everybody has meetings and things that they're going to. If you have a typical day, tell your constituents what it's like. And maybe you don't have a typical day.
I actually had this discussion with 45 school children a
wow.
few days ago, and there is no typical day. Your schedule is that of the people, and so it's a very demanding schedule, and it's a changing schedule every single day. However, I would say that the workload's not light.
I'm sure not.
Which is fine. But it's an everyday process, and I get in the office as early as I can, but I also want to get out of the office because I recognize some of the most important work gets done when you're having the meetings with the local people. Something that we've recognized that past representatives in the 50th District have done well, and something that we would like to also implement is a business roundtable, and I've started gathering community members of small, medium, and large businesses, and we're hoping to gather those ideas and really hear the input of the people with the expertise so that we can make the best decisions for Ohio. The days, they vary. You know, you're meeting with business leaders, you're also meeting with the 4th and 5th graders, and there's never a dull moment, to say the least. The days are very long. Last night, as you know, with the budget, we didn't get home until about 10 p.m., and that seems to be the typical model for my day, at least as the second newest legislator, starting in the midst of the budget and a very difficult time in the legislature, a very rapid changing movement. It has been nothing nothing short of exciting, and the moment is starting to free up a little, but as we get into the summer, we'll be seeing a lot more of the constituents, which I'm happy for.
On the topic of the state budget, you came to the legislature right as the budget was about to be introduced by Governor Kasich. What have been your impressions on what the House did with the budget, and if you have any comments on what the Senate did as of last night, just talk to us about your thoughts on the budget.
Meeting with the Area on Agency and having some serious discussions at the table about taking care of those who have taken care of us has been huge for me. I actually have met with Passport consumers, gone to the area nursing homes, and some of the cuts were drastic across the board, and that's to be recognized. But I thought that what the House did as far as restoring money to the budget for Area on Agency and the Passport program in particular was phenomenal, and I hope to see in the conference committee those things staying put. It's yet to be duked out.
Sure. Much more to come, that's right. Other legislative initiatives have focused on jobs, the economy. There's also been a series of social issue bills dealing with guns, right to life, etc. Tell us about some of those bills that you've either supported or been a part of the discussions on, and what they've meant to your district.
Sure. I am absolutely a strong advocate for life and for the Second Amendment rights. We've had the opportunity and the blessing to work on both of these issues in the State House, and we have people across the board who take both issues very seriously. I've had opportunities to meet with people on both sides of the fence and really get some good discussion and actually meet in the middle on some areas and be able to move progressively forward. However, I think that we have a vast array of things happening in a pro-life movement, a very positive movement in the Ohio House, and we have good leadership with the Representative Watchman and the others in the House who support this movement. I feel very positive about it, and I think that we're going to accomplish a lot. As far as the Second Amendment rights go, we've had the opportunity, or I've had the opportunity to vote on 2 rights that would untie the hands of those who are law-abiding citizens who have worked very hard to follow the rules and regulations, and we're helping to restore their Second Amendment rights. So I think that there are many positive things happening. While we're very focused on jobs, we're able to accomplish a vast array of things in this House.
One more quick question on the budget. I want to recall the press conference that you had before the budget passed out of the House, talking about income tax rates and how they would affect the average Ohioan and the average Ohio family. What was the point of your press conference?
The press conference was a message that I was hoping to relay to the public, that the Ohio House is very serious about helping the middle class and helping families in the way that we recognize that we cannot increase the tax burden on anyone. We were put in office with a mission to lower taxes and obviously not to increase taxes. And many people have suggested that in this budget, in this difficult time, instead of making cuts and creating efficiencies and becoming more lean as a government, that we should just instead increase taxes. So we did a study. I put a request in with the Department of Taxation on what that would mean as far as income taxes in the middle class. And it would actually burden the middle class the most, and it would look about $743 a year more in taxes, and I don't think that's something we're willing to do, and I just wanted to make that obvious and out in the open that that was not a direction that we are willing to move in, and we're staying strong on what the people believe in and why they put us here.
One final question: as the summer approaches and the legislature goes towards their summer recess, do you have? That's what it's called, but I think you might still be working. So,
sure.
What will you be doing back in the district while you're home this summer? Any long-term plans with constituents and work back home? Back
in the district, I am actually focusing on building those focus groups with the roundtables, whether they be business, education. We actually had an appointment with Latino and Hispanic Affairs, and we had conversations about how we can make a movement culturally to be more welcoming as the new majority member of that advisory council. That's something I'd like to accomplish this summer as far as building relationships. My hopes are, as a new legislator, that I can get out and knock on as many doors and be visible to the public, make sure they know where I stand and that I am representing them in the best way that I can. and just having conversations across the board, whether that be in the local delis, local coffee shops, being visible and open and out. I have a previous engagement. I've been coaching tennis for 3 years, so
right.
I will be hoping to coach my Marlington tennis team through what could potentially be the #1 position in the NET and NBC. So we'll be dedicated there as well. I don't want them to feel as though they've been left on the back burner, but definitely staying focused and getting involved in the community, doing everything we can to let them know that I'm the new representative and show them who the new face is and what I'm all about.
Very good. Well, good luck to you, and good luck to the tennis team as well. And we have your contact information for your office at the bottom of the screen, so I'm sure you'll encourage your constituents to contact you, as they may have been doing already. So, Representative Hagan, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate
Glad to
it.
have you here today.
Thank you.
You've been watching Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. We look forward to seeing you here again next time.